Hello and welcome to the show. Now, when it comes to starting a silly car build with a rather crazy vehicle, it is quite difficult to get much more crazy than the Corvette ZR1. I do very much like the Corvette ZR1, but yes, it is not well known for being a massively refined vehicle, and, well, I'm going to max it out and see what we get. It could theoretically be quite fast. I don't know, though. Again, it's a car that I don't think I've actually driven it at all in Forza 6. Come to think, I've driven it plenty in previous Forza games, but I don't think I've really used it in 6, and I certainly haven't maxed one out. Now, as far as engines go, there is the option to put the NASCAR engine. I'm not going to use that in this vehicle. The standard engine, I'm kind of hoping the standard engine will surpass 1,000 horsepower. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm kind of expecting this to be quite similar, although those twin turbos had bugger all in the way of power, but kind of expecting this to be quite similar in some ways to the Mercedes that went out last time, the SL65 Black Series. It's kind of along similar lines, very big, very powerful rear-wheel drive. Super muscle car is the category that I would define these. A little bit heavier and probably going to have some ginormous tyres on it, so traction might not be too bad. It's whether we've really got the handling to exploit the power. We are going to be going on, of course, the racing tyres. 305s on the front. They are humongous tyres on the front. That might be some of the biggest front tyres I've seen on a car. 355s on the back as well. So we should have pretty damn good traction. We should have pretty good turning as well with that size front tyres. Also going to help with the braking and so on. I mean, this is looking like it could potentially be quite quick around a lap if it has enough control. If all of the however many horsepower are escaping the rear immediately, we could be very, very sideways in the Corvette. That's kind of how the standard car drives. But with these size tyres on the racing tyres, we might not do too badly weight-wise. I mean, it's going to be on the heavier side. It's hopefully going to be nicely in the sort of the ideal zone. The car's too light, and we've seen time and time again on the run-up towards the first corner at Virginia, and certainly trying to deploy power at various points on the tracks. The really light cars have their issues, but of course, with such power-to-weight ratios, they don't half accelerate quick. This, we're looking around the 2,800 pounds mark, which should hopefully give us enough weight for some stability, which is always a plus point when you've got cars as crazy as this on a wet circuit, but not too much weight so that, you know, we're heavily compromised in terms of acceleration and so on. We will have to wait and see, though, as we go through. These parts are not really adding on the power that I was kind of hoping it would. I think it might... I don't know. We'll get to the camshafts, of course, always one of the biggest things for horsepower, and that's added. Okay, 103, we're up to 839 horsepower. We've also got plenty of torque from this engine. Again, though, not as much as that Mercedes. The Mercedes is, still, I think, going to beat this car, certainly at the rate we're going. I'm hoping. Turbos, you'd better be more impressive here than you were with the aspiration swap. We're up to 900 horsepower now, though, with the car. Come on, turbos, give us a big power boost. That's quite poor. Only 30. That's quite weak twin turbos on this one. We've seen them normally give around 80 to 100 horsepower. But nope, not in this car. Intercooler, sometimes these can give a fair burst of power. 33, it's only a bit less. 6 less than the bloody turbos from that. 976 horsepower. Not quite the 1,000. Little bit disappointed we haven't quite got the 1,000 out of the Corvette. I really was expecting it to crack that. Still, though, 976 horsepower is not exactly bad, and 833 torque. So yeah, not a bad engine. 2,806 pounds potential in this car for it to go quickly, I think. Also potential, naturally, for a ZR1 to be very, very sideways just about everywhere. Of course, to test out the Corvette, we have come to the Patriot alternate layout of the Virginia International Raceway. Now, this car is a R-Class vehicle in terms of PI, it is unlikely to be challenging the very top of the table. The NASCAR, Bugatti Veyron, KTM Crossbow were all up into P-Class, although having said that, the Lamborghini Diablo in 4th, 107.6 from the Diablo, and that wasn't a particularly high PI car in R-Class. So there is, I guess, some possibility for the Corvette. Its more interesting rival, I think, is going to be the Mercedes, that SL65, a 199 from the Merc. So, yeah, we will see if the Corvette, it's already not got as good a traction. it's yeah, likes to spin its wheels off the... When you've got this much power in the wet, of course the cars are going to spin their wheels, but the Mercedes certainly did a better job of deploying its 1,000+ horsepower and 1,000+ torque, and this does not. It doesn't have the same figures, and it doesn't quite deploy it as well either. Or can we carry any more corner speed in the Corvette? That is the question. I'm doing what I can through this section. It's not a terrible car to drive, that is for sure. It's quite nice and responsive. It just lacks any real rear-end grip, and well, when you have this much power in the wet, that is tends to slow you down. I mean, it looks spectacular, but it's not particularly good for lap time. And the thing with the Corvette, as ever, really as with the standard one, yes, it is very leery. Yes, it loves going sideways absolutely everywhere, but it is so effortlessly easy to control it when it is going sideways, completely out of shape, but you can gather it all back up in this car very, very nicely. How quick are we in a straight line? We can get to full throttle, 179 miles an hour before jumping on the brakes, and that is only just about going to pull it up in time. It's quick. Certainly not the fastest vehicles that we have seen. The Alfa Romeo 8C was up past the 180 mile an hour mark, as was the Mercedes. The Alfa 33 is still the quickest car down the straight, clocking well over 200, but that's a little bit of a special case, really. The 33, when it has as much power as that car weighs as little as it does, it's not too surprising. And this is only a couple of miles an hour down on the Jaguar D-Type. The Jaguar D-Type's the fastest car in a straight line. The Jag just couldn't deploy its power. This can, but it's not quite got the 1,200 horsepower of the V12 engined cars. A little bit more controlled this time around. I'm figuring out what I can and can't get away with in the Corvette. The brakes aren't too shabby. They're not the best either, though. In many respects, it drives quite similarly to the SL65, although the Mercedes is a lot more refined. Having said that, the Corvette has gone faster already, a 109.0 from the Vette. I'm surprised. I am quite surprised by that, because in all honesty, the Mercedes was felt like an easier car to drive, but the Corvette is getting the lap time, even if it is happy to be wanting to go sideways. Whether it does or not depends on what I'm doing with it. Trying my very best to keep the sidewaysness at bay, and that is an official measurement of a car, but we're not going to make it through the uphill section that time around. I can't have too much speed on the way in, and we were never going to make the second part where we can go very, very... Every car is going sideways through that uphill corner in the Corvette. There is absolutely no exception. Decent enough speed on the exit, even with it going sideways through there. Okay, well, a couple more laps. Can we break it into the 108s? I think it could well be possible with this car. Now, try and get that power down. Once we're in third gear, just got to be a little bit careful. It will spin ever so slightly in third gear, but yeah, once you've just left it a little bit, you can get to full throttle. Fourth gear, we're up to no problem. That was too brave into turn one. I was trying to find some time under braking there. We cannot push the car anymore. Oop, and that's stuck on the tyre bundle. I'm not a massive fan of these tyre bundles. They are a real pain. Around here, they're not too bad because, well, if you've hit them, you've gone a long way off the track anyway, and you're going to be screwed up. But certainly some of the tyre bundles where they're positioned a lot more of a danger than a concrete wall. The way that they kind of bounce cars back out into traffic, the final turn at Road Atlanta, for example, quite awful for making collisions, an awful lot worse than if there was just a concrete wall there. So yeah, got to be a little bit careful with them. You can, if you kind of just graze along the side of them, they can suck your car into a spin and whatnot. But yeah, not a problem, particularly around this circuit. The Corvette is actually doing all right with running across the curves. We're not having any big moments with them either. All of the little dangers that there can be around these circuits. Right, one more lap for this ZR1 to try and go any quicker. We're up to full throttle as we cross the start-finish line. Now, don't leave it quite as late on the brakes because it won't get stopped into this first corner. I'm a little bit earlier on the brakes this time around, although I'm hoping I can be neat through this section here, and that might be able to make me up some time. Just trying to... we're pretty much identical. I was a little earlier under brake at that time to make sure that I got it stopped, but trying to be neater has saved me a fraction of it now at this uphill section. Don't get carried away with too much speed. It's very easy to... This is a tricky course, very, very technical for these incredibly powerful cars, the reason why I picked this layout, and indeed we have found some time. Don't get the car too excited. It's going to want to oversteer through there. There's very little you can do about it. And the understeer through the next corner, nearly every car wants to drift out wide there. A few have indeed ended up on the grass. Carried plenty of speed into that second to last corner. I thought I was going off. Thankfully, I did not. We're out of the final turn. We're going to spin the wheels towards the line, and it's quicker. It's a 108.3. That's not bad. 108.321 from the ZR1. I am quite pleasantly surprised. In all honesty, yeah, the Mercedes felt more composed. Mercedes did feel a fair bit more composed than the Corvette, but despite very much being on edge, when you get things right with this car, it is mighty, mighty fast. I think perhaps a slight bit more agile than the Mercedes. It can make up time through the sweeping corners down the back of the course. You can carry that a little bit more speed. And yeah, overall, it is that bit quicker a car, and that is a very, very good lap time from the Corvette. It'll put it up into 6th place. It beats the four-wheel drive Bentley Continental GT. Four-wheel drive in these conditions is quite helpful. In fact, very, very helpful. So for this to go quicker than the Bentley is damn good going. It beats the Alfa Romeo 33, the Lotus Type 49, the rotary-powered McLaren. It loses out to the Hot Wheels Mustang. The Hot Wheels Mustang, just too much downforce. That thing has got tremendous levels of grip. Not having Corvette straight line speed, but tremendous levels of grip. And likewise loses out to the likes of the Diablo and the P-Class Top 3. But still, I mean, only being, a second away from the KTM Crossbow, the Veyron is damn good going from this Corvette. Yeah, it is quite a handful, and you will spend a lot of time very much on edge. Very easy to get it sideways, but very controllable when you do go over that limit, and when you get things right, really, really rather fast. Now though, time to find out just how quick it will go in a straight line. And of course, that means tackling the Le Mans Straight. The Corvette, while I think can set a pretty damn impressive straight line speed after all, the standard car is getting up towards, I think it's past 200 miles an hour. In fact, this vehicle does not have the 1,200 horsepower of some of the very, very quickest cars. Again, we're not likely to be challenging the very highest positions, but I will be curious to see whether it can get among the SL65, for example. That was, where has that gone? 200 and... I can't find it on the table now. There it is, 243 miles an hour from the Mercedes. This one is not looking like it's going to be quite doing that. 240, I think, is about the highest that I have seen here. Yeah, okay, we'll try and get the 240. That might be pushing our luck. The benchmark on Forza 6 is pretty good with the top speeds. It's unlikely that we're going to find 3 miles an hour over the benchmark speed. We might go a little bit slower because while this is the longest straight that we have, it is not infinitely long, so we might not be able to get the car up to its ultimate top speed, although we tend to get fairly close. As you would expect, the Corvette is very, very keen to, even in these dry conditions, the Corvette is very, very keen to slide about. But again, even with all of this power, even with all of this crazy amounts of power and so on, it is still so very controllable when things start going wrong. I don't think there is any car out there that is quite as controllable as this one, for when it, especially when it's as stupidly built as this, for, yeah, just holding whatever stupidness you are asking it to do at 190 miles an hour before we leave the corner. That is good going for what isn't an ultra-light track car with far too much horsepower. I mean, the power-to-weight ratio in this is impressive, but nothing like some of the cars that we have seen. So getting 190 before the corner is fairly good going. We're up to 230 miles an hour now as we are starting to struggle here to really keep going. It's 235 miles an hour. Can we get any more out of the car? We're getting very close to the rev limiter, but we're not in it yet. It's 237. The bumps cost us a couple of miles an hour. Around the corner, yeah, no problems, as kind of expected. Again, this vehicle had no problem with any of the bumps at Virginia. It's never likely to have issues here. Very, very composed. Although, you did lose a little bit more speed than we have seen from some cars. I think the record is about 2 miles an hour lost around that corner. This lost 7 across the bumps. I might have taken a slightly harsher line across them on this one. I mean, 237 miles an hour is still bloody fast. One thing with this series, your sense of what is a high top speed is slightly skewed when you're looking to beat 270. So then 237 doesn't feel quite as impressive. However, you know, that's still pretty damn fast, and again, incredibly controllable despite all of the horsepower and whatnot. That is the overarching theme with this car, really. Even when things are looking like they're all going completely wrong, still very, very easy to save it and manage everything. Its top speed will put the car into 26th place. It goes ahead of the Honda S2000, the Charger, Hellcat, Lancia Stratos, Cadillac CTS-V, but it does lose out. We're only talking a couple of miles an hour here to the Toyota NASCAR, the Porsche 356A. The BMW 323 is quicker than the Corvette. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with his lap time. I thought when it ended up in mid-R class, we wouldn't quite see a low 108 from it, but yeah, that is a good lap time. Even though it doesn't feel quite as quick as some other cars, there is still plenty of time to be found in the Corvette. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.